Floyd versus Deji. What really happened? Well, I've just got back from Dubai about 24 hours ago, and it's just kind of finally sinking in, trying to recover from the event. And I'm really catching up on the news and activity from Sunday night. Because when you're in a broadcast, you're kind of stuck in there. I was checking Twitter and Instagram sporadically, but I wasn't really entrenched in that stuff that night. And so much went down. A lot of people have talked about how long there was between the Tommy Fury fight and the Floyd and Deji fight. So let me give you my take on the situations there. So with live sports, you're never quite sure how long things are going to run, how short things are going to run. So you're always prepared to kill some time, shall we say. The Tommy Fury fight ended. All that malarkey happened with Tommy, with Jake Paul, with Big John Fury with the shirt off. I'm still waiting for that OnlyFans account from Big John Fury. All that went down, and the night was running ahead of schedule. I always thought, I was always kind of told that we thought the Floyd Deji fight was probably going to be somewhere around that 1 o'clock mark, and we were well ahead of time at that point. So going into that next segment, we knew we were going to have to fill a little bit. I was told we're going to be looking at about 15 minutes or so, which is okay, that's fine. We had some great people there. Loads of people for us to talk to and have analysis with and break down the evening, so no concern whatsoever. And then it just kept going. It just kept going, and I wasn't getting told anything in my ear, primarily, I think, because the guys in the truck didn't know what was happening. They're focused on the show. I think they're getting fed information like nearly time for the fight, not nearly time for the fight, all that kind of stuff. But I've only found out today, looking on sites that were live blogging the fight, that it was kind of public knowledge what was going on backstage. What was going on backstage was a debate about the size of the gloves. Now, to my understanding, Floyd was working off an agreement for a previous fight that had 10-ounce gloves in. That's, to my knowledge, what was there. But Deji, when he signed his contract, it was 14-ounce gloves. And I'd heard rumblings throughout the week that there was a disparity in what gloves were going to be worn in terms of Floyd wanting the smaller gloves, but Deji had signed at 14, wanted 14. But you kind of assumed that was all sorted before the night. But that was the hold-up, and that was public knowledge. It would seem that was all over the internet. We didn't know this. We had no idea. I was told they weren't sure if Deji was in the building yet, and the guys were getting ready, aiming at 1 o'clock. So we were going to have to fill for 15, maybe 20 minutes until those guys are ready. I had no idea it would end up being, from what I'm told, I haven't watched it back in time yet, but one of the production guys told me, 1 hour and 27 minutes. Now, people might be asking, well, why don't they just play some videos or VTs or cut backstage and break things up during that time? Look, from what I'm told, the truck that was supplied for the event had certain limitations. I don't know if there wasn't equipment loaded in, or if the equipment was broken or what, but all I know is the production team had a real hard time trying to get any VTs or any packages loaded. They simply couldn't, to my knowledge. I don't think they had the facility to go backstage and cut the things. There were some limitations with the productions that they had to play within, which is fine normally. But for 1 hour and 27 minutes, we had no other option but to talk. I am so glad that we had pros there, like Wade Plem, who called the fights that night. Was a pleasure to work with. Sammy came through and helped out. Chris Fade was there with us, a guy who can talk for the world. It's amazing. Lauren Alexis came through. Of course, Jake Paul graced us with his presence, which was great. We didn't think we were going to get Jake on the broadcast on the studio, as we'll call it, but he came through, gave us a great interview. Everyone was kind of doing shifts, and for me, again, I had no idea. There wasn't any noise in my ear because I think production was just trying to figure things out themselves. But people like Chris was there, and I think Sammy came in and took over, and then Addy, real pleasure to work with Addy, another real pro. He came in and took over, and from what I'm finding out afterwards, I think they were being sort of dragged in to kind of keep things fresh moving forward, which was an absolute lifesaver, But again, to my knowledge, none of those guys knew exactly what was going on backstage. We were just literally trying to keep that ship sailing. It didn't feel like 1 hour and 27 minutes. I'll be honest with you. It felt like a long time. But it was a heck of an experience. I don't know if it's a world record or not. I'd love to know. One would assume that other sports shows have probably broken that kind of thing up with VTs or commercials or something like that. Nothing the likes of which we had. And yeah, I mean, look, one thing I've realized is the bigger the boxing event gets, more often the bigger the politics backstage are. And when Floyd was asking for the 10-ounce gloves, and when he got the 10-ounce gloves, I think we were like, well, this is going to end not the way perhaps Deji wanted to be. This is the smaller gloves, less padding. The impact is more from a punch. So we thought Floyd is going to try and knock out Deji. Floyd toyed with him, of course he did. We all saw the stuff that was happening with Floyd in those early rounds, particularly. But as the fight went on, Deji got comfortable in there and landed some shots, you know. And Floyd didn't go for the knockout. I mean, it was a stoppage, and you know, the referee was probably right to stop. He didn't want Deji to take too much punishment, but you know, Deji was in there. Deji survived. Deji cut Floyd, gave him a black eye. Deji looks fresh right now. He looks like he's not even been in a fight. So that in itself is an amazing achievement for Deji. How many other boxers at any level can say they've busted up the face somewhat of Floyd Money Mayweather? Not many. So what a night. What a night. So many people worked hard to make that event a success. And when you do these events where you're away for a week and you're all in a hotel working hard, trying to make things work, you kind of form a bond. And after this event, I said to people, hey, look, we're bonded by blood now. Because that was an event that was a challenge. It was a real challenge. But I think it's those kind of challenges that we all thrive on. And I hope people enjoyed the fight as much as they could. I hope people engaged with it. It was entertaining. Overall, you know, I think it was all we thought we'd get from a Floyd Money Mayweather night. And look, that weight, the negotiation that was happening backstage, how did that affect Deji? You know, I think he had something of an adrenaline dump. I think he said that openly now. The waiting for that long, the stops, like, is this thing going to happen? That was another thing Deji had to deal with, which it never had to before. That politicking right up until the ring walk. So this is only going to help Deji. The experience in the ring, the experience out of the ring, the whole thing. I'm excited to see what's next for Deji. I'm excited to see what's next for Tommy and Jake, for Anthony Taylor, for Jack Fincham, for so many of the fighters on that card. I think they really put a statement out that night in terms of their in-ring work. So, hey, we'll see. But an hour and 27 minutes, Phil. I've got to thank everyone who was there helping, making that work. It was a pleasure to get to work with you all. Let's hope we never have to break that record.